The Billion-Dollar Code, the battle over Google Earth. The new Netflix miniseries fictionalizes the story of two Berlin internet pioneers who attempt to prove that Google stole their billion-dollar idea. In the early 1990s, two men meet in Berlin. One is an art student with big ideas, the other is a computer nerd. After meeting in a techno club in 1993, they came up with the idea of creating a kind of global work of art that would allow people to travel to any point in the world simply by zooming in with a mouse click. They quickly realized that the computers available in the early 1990s were insufficiently powerful for their project. But that could change, especially with the assistance of a telecommunications giant and experienced hackers. Deutsche Telekom sponsored them, and the developers were members of the Chaos Computer Club. Despite a chaotic process, the two partners were able to present their TerraVision project at an international communications fair in Kyoto, Japan, in 1994. It was a smashing success. During a trip to Silicon Valley, however, the source code for TerraVision fell into the wrong hands, and in 2005, Google, by then a tech behemoth, unexpectedly released Google Earth. The two German developers believed Google had stolen their idea, resulting in a David versus Goliath court battle. Overtaken by a tech giant, the Netflix miniseries tells the story of two computer geeks who developed their idea, persuaded a large corporation, and eventually the entire world, only to be robbed of their fame and fortune by a tech giant's legal ruse. Netflix demonstrates once again, with this German production, that the setting of a story is secondary to the story's content. Instead of Germany, the two developers could have come from Japan or South Africa. The core of their story is universal. The look, story, editing, script, and soundtrack of the Netflix production are on par with similar international productions, and the German actors in the Billion-Dollar Code have synchronized their own voices in the English version, adding an authentic feel. Travel back in time to the 1990s. The details of the 1990s have been meticulously recreated. The miniseries delves into the atmosphere of Berlin's post-reunification era, with its techno clubs, wildly experimental art scene, and hackers, who were not taken seriously at the time, through the stories of Yuri Muller and Carsten Schluter. It was a time when having a bank account felt like being a part of the establishment, and young people had discovered their own way of being cool. The internet embodied dreams of revolution and unrestricted freedom. At the time, the idea that all knowledge could be made available to everyone was extremely novel and exciting. Funders were putting up huge sums of money to help build this new world. Silicon Valley was the new computer age's El Dorado, with digital prospectors congregating in the massive tech park under palm trees, complete with basketball courts and espresso machines. After 25 years, the Berlin programming pioneers filed a lawsuit against internet behemoth Google. They want to demonstrate that they were the ones who, with TerraVision, laid the groundwork for Google Earth, Google Maps, and all modern navigation systems. A work of fiction based on true events, a fast-paced and emotional roller coaster that culminates in an exciting court drama with a cast of consistently outstanding actors. Director Robert Thalheim and screenwriter Oliver Ziegenbalg have created a journey through time in The Billion-Dollar Code, a fiction based on true events. According to Robert Thalheim, the story came to me while having a barbecue with a neighbor, who turned out to be Joachim Sauter, a media artist who helped develop TerraVision in the early 1990s and who actually sued Google. Of course, the dramatized interpretation of the story by the miniseries creators does not represent all of the facts surrounding the development of the program and the ongoing court case. The filmmakers had no intention of restoring justice. They simply wanted to depict the ideals that initially drove the tech generation and what it eventually became. The director wanted to show how the balance of power has shifted, and the internet pioneers themselves are overwhelmed by this development. Nowadays, everyone only talks about the multi-millionaires who became extremely wealthy thanks to the internet and are now flying to the moon. But we wanted to go back in time and tell the story of those who were never in the spotlight. Interviews with those involved in the events, as well as court documents, all contributed to the series' authenticity. To avoid a conflict with Google, the script reproduces the actual court statements. Joachim Sauter also worked with the filmmaker. However, the art professor did not live to see the series completed. He died in July 2021.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.